TNA Bound For Glory 2007. TNA's Super Bowl. TNA's WrestleMania. You got everything. You got good technical wrestling. You got the high-flying element of Ultimate X. You got Plunder in the Monsters Ball match. You got tag teams. You got singles, legends, debuts. You got wives getting slapped. You got Consequences Creed, but his name's Lucius. It's Xavier Woods, but it's weird. Not everything's great on this show, but a lot of it is. Match of the years, questionable characters and stories. It's a weird one. It's a fun one though. So strap in. It's the Apron Bump Podcast.
The hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get it started.
What's up, everybody? Howdy. Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I'm your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. How is everybody doing today? Hope everybody's having a hot summer. I know we are here in Virginia. It is blisteringly hot. It's every time I get in my car, I feel like I'm getting pan-seared. But no, it's fun. That's fun. Love the sun. Love it. But you know what I do love? Some total nonstop action wrestling, particularly Bound for Glory 2007, which is convenient because that is a show we are talking about today. A lot of good stuff on this one. I mean, we're headlined by Kurt Angle versus Sting for the TNA World Title, which got underway at the last pay-per-view. The whole story there. Karen Angle getting slapped, quote unquote, by Sting, and then Kurt Angle just this era of Kurt Angle. We all know what he's called, but man, he is in rare form. His wife gets slapped, so he goes to Sting's son's football. You know what? I'm gonna save it for the episode because there's a lot to get into there, but some wacky stuff there, but a pretty good match. We got the Steiners versus the Dudleys in a tables match. We got Ultimate X. We got Monsters Ball. We got major debuts on this show, including the debut of females. Women were invented here in October of 2007. The inaugural Knockouts Championship is determined on this show in a gauntlet. There's that gauntlet, and there's also a reverse gauntlet on the same card. Ain't that neat, huh? TNA on TNA every single time. But no, this is one of those shows, man, where it's just like, I'm so happy to be covering TNA. There are some TNA shows where it's like, oh God, why do I fucking watch this? But then there's shows like this where it's like, we'll talk a lot about it, but the atmosphere it created, it was just like, if you look at this card on paper, it doesn't do it justice for how good this show was. And we'll talk all about why exactly that is. Who's we, hardest part of the ring? Well, it's myself and Jessie Apps from Pario Magazine. Check out Jamie. I'll have all his social medias and stuff in the description below. Follow him on X and all that stuff. Or you can find him and everything he does at pariomagazine.com.au/links. AAU being Australia, I would assume. Nice Australian. So we touch all sides of the world, the Apron Bump. It's really something. So it was fun to get an opportunity to go down under, as they say. But no, Jamie was a great guest. It was a pleasure having him on. He does a lot of stuff. He has a lot of spoons in the porridge, as they say. He has, like I said, go to that link. It'll take you to wherever. He's a writer, a podcaster, a video creator. He does interviews and podcasts, both related to wrestling, but also related to movies, TV, just general entertainment. So, especially if you're into the Australian side of things, he does stuff with trading cards and all sorts of stuff. Go check out his. It's a really well done website, and it kind of takes you through everything he does. But it was fun having him on, and yeah, follow me as well while you're just following people at Apron Bump on all the social medias. Join the Discord, give this bad boy a like, a rating, a 5-star review, a tickle on the cheek, a kiss on the mouth, and blow into my belly button until I blow away like a hot air balloon. So, yeah, let's get into it, shall we? TNA Bound for Glory 2007 with myself and Jamie from Pario Magazine. Not cold there. I thought it was all just deserts and kangaroos at all times.
Yeah. Well, it's not normally this cold. It's been abnormally cold, which is not fun.
Well, what's cold for you guys, though?
It was like 7 or 8 degrees this morning, Celsius.
Is that? That could be anything. I don't know. We're stupid American in our Fahrenheits. Don't know what that means.
That is 46.
Okay, it's a little nippy. I'll allow it. But I'll tell you what's hot. It's Bound for Glory 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a chance to check out the show?
Yes. Yeah, I watched it over the weekend.
Thoughts? So I guess my first question is actually, were you watching TNA at the time, like live during this period?
I don't know if I was watching it live. I don't know if it was available live, but I was definitely watching this period of TNA. This was like peak TNA fandom for me. I kind of dropped off once the Hogan 4-sided ring era came back, but yeah, the 6-sided ring with this crowd that was just hot all night.
So hot.
They were so into this show, and yeah, I loved this era of TNA. Their roster was just beyond stacked.
Yeah, and it's always fun because I'm watching like all the impacts and stuff, and I've been watching all the pay-per-views chronologically. It's always fun to see them out of the impact zone because it's a very rare occurrence, and they're here in Atlanta. So it's a slightly bigger audience, but yeah, to your point, the crowd was just, I mean, do you think the product was hot? Like, is that why the crowd was so hot for it, or were they just maybe just a particularly hot crowd?
I think it was probably a little bit of both. I think at this time, like TNA was like firing on all cylinders with Kurt at the top. You had AJ, Christian. Yeah, they were doing well, but then yeah, I think also being out of the impact zone was a big boost for them. It was a rare occurrence for them to go to a city like Atlanta and just pop the crowd.
Yeah. No, it felt like a big time show, and Bound for Glory is kind of their WrestleMania. So it's good that it did. But yeah, overall, I mean, we'll get into the individual matches and segments and all that. But overall, thoughts? So what was it? Did it meet your expectations? Exceeded? What do you think just overall of the show?
Yeah, it was basically what I remembered. It was a great show, and I was expecting a really good show. A few of the matches surprised me of how good they were. Looking back on it, they might not have been the match I was most excited for, but yeah, the overall show was brilliant.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's definitely I don't know if there was particularly a bad show on the card. I could be wrong, but not that I remember. I think everything at least met my expectations. But yeah, there were a few standouts for sure. Oh man, I mean, every time I turn on one of these shows, we get these video packages with I always forget the guy's name. The guy talks like this. The production of TNA at this point was unmatched. I mean, they always did a great job at like setting the tone for what the show is. And here they're like, they know they have a lot of new eyes on them, so they're like kind of introducing a lot of their major players here individually, but just kind of keeping it very like cinematic. And I don't know, what are your thoughts, I guess, on just the production, I guess, of this intro package, I guess maybe just the production in general for TNA?
Yeah, I was surprised at how good the production was. Looking back, like I thought they were a more simple program, but that opening video is kind of like, it's like the summer blockbuster movie trailer type thing to begin and get you into the mood of like, oh, this is a big deal. Let's get excited for all of these matches and what's to come on this show.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And we start off with an interesting one. But in hindsight, it was probably the right way to go to set the tone here. We got Ultimate X, the premier match type of TNA, and we got the tag title #1 contendership on the line. We got LAX versus Triple X and Ultimate X. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get it, Jamie?
They
all have X in their name.
Yep.
Yep. I think that's literally the entire reason these guys are facing each other. To my understanding, they didn't really have any feud or anything. It's just like there's X in both your names, and it's Ultimate X, so we'll throw you in it. But that being said, I mean, Hernandez, Homicide versus Elix, Skipper, and Senshi as four talented dudes. And the match that unfolded, I mean, this was just a car crash at some points, but this was hella entertaining. What did you make of this one?
Yeah, this was one of those ones that kind of surprised me at how good it was. Like when Triple X and LAX came out, and it raised my expectations, but looking at the card, I was like, this will be a good opener. And yeah, it was awesome. The perfect way to kick off this show. And Elix Skipper, like probably the least known person on this card,
Yeah.
looking back on it, but he is very well respected for what he did in his run in TNA. And yeah, just a awesome match, and different in the way that it was a tag match in Ultimate X. Usually it's just like a bunch of guys tossed in there, everyone for himself.
Right. Yeah, no, it's to your point, Elix Skipper. Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that he's still around here in late '07. Talented guy. I think he just kind of got lost in the shuffle at a certain point. I think, in hindsight, probably most known for walking the cage and that in the Turning Point match. And there was a spot here where I thought he was going to try it again because he climbed to the top of the truss that holds the cables together. I thought he was going to try to walk across the cables. I was like, oh, don't do that. That's not good. You did it once. You got lucky. If you try this again, it's going to be a disaster. But no, he just jumped straight off the truss, which that was a huge leap onto Hernandez with a crossbody. I mean, just kind of really quick the way he did it. That was probably my standout spot here among others. Any other spots in particular stick out to you in this one?
Nothing too much. The thing that really stood out to me was like how uniquely Senshi / Loki like moved back in the day. He was such a unique character in the way that he moved and got around the ring that made him stand out so much.
He was kind of perfect for this type of match too, like very explosive and quick. All these guys kind of are in their own ways. My takeaway here is I love the urgency of this match. I love how everybody's immediately trying to climb those cables, and if like another team's climbing, the other guy comes and like pulls the guy down from his ankles. Like there's one spot where Homicide is climbing the cables and he gets pulled down by Skipper. And then later in the match, Homicide goes back up again, but this time he puts his feet up because he's learned from previous, being pulled down. So that kind of, there's like a storytelling element to this chaos, which is kind of a hallmark of TNA, is why it was so good, I thought. Yeah, there's just chaos from start to finish. Hernandez, his big ass climbing on those cables and leaping over the top rope. At one point, he just power bombs low key, and he just like recoils damn near over the top rope from the mat.
Yep. And that, like Hernandez was a big standout in this too, just because it's not the type of match you would expect him to excel in. You think he would just be a base to help the other guys like utilize the cables, but he actually got up and was using them and doing like dives and stuff himself. So he stands out in that way of he was a special talent.
Yeah, no, for sure. They would try to capitalize on him at some point. As for whatever reason, I don't think he ever really made it as a singles. But here, his stint in LAX was so fun, and ultimately, he was the guy that climbed the cables and grabbed the X. So Hernandez, after he border tosses Elix Skipper over the top rope onto low key, and
that was
Hernandez
a rough looking spot.
That was
really hard landing.
Concussion City. But got him the win. I guess you got to do what you got to do. So LAX is now the number one contenders for the tag team titles. And yeah, I mean, the crowd was like comically like into this match, which I mean, I can't really blame them because it was like nonstop. But yeah, perfect way to start the show, I thought.
Yeah, I was expecting them to kind of die off because they started so hot, but I think they remained pretty hot throughout the show. I don't think there was really a lull in the crowd.
Yeah, no, not really. But after that, we cut they show, I guess, earlier in the afternoon. So that they show that Kurt Angle, Karen Angle, and Kevin Nash all arrived to the arena separately. And this is significant because they've been kind of a tandem for a while. So how much of the build up to Kurt Angle versus Sting do you remember from this?
Not a lot. It was kind of, this was like refreshing most of the story for me. And they did a good job of that. Like, to go back and watch this show, it's not like you watch it and go, I don't understand what's happening in this main event. What's the story here? But they did a good job of having that through line throughout the show, which is something that like pay-per-views don't normally do.
Yeah.
So I think they did a good job of like having those little segments to give you enough of the context for the main event to make a lot more sense watching it back now.
Right. Yeah, there's always at least like an interview or something in between the matches, which to your point is something that's been kind of lost over the past few years, which is unfortunate. But the constant thread here, so on Impact, Kurt Angle, well, I guess at the previous pay-per-view, Kurt Angle and Sting were tag team champions in a match where they lost the titles to Team Pac-Man, which we'll touch on later. But in that match, Karen Angle tried to help Kurt and Sting, but Sting didn't want her help, so he told her to get to the back, but in doing this thing with his hand, Karen pretended to get slapped by him, and now Kurt Angle thinks Sting slapped his wife. So what does Kurt do? He goes to Sting's son's football game and beats him up, his son up, and then takes his jersey and wears it to the ring, which is just psychotic. I mean, this era of Kurt Angle is it's something.
Yep.
It's something. So the kind of the thread he, and that set off Karen because Karen thought he went over the line. Kevin Nash thought he went over the line. So the kind of thread, and Kevin Nash is like, Kurt, I've seen Sting in his glory days. I know there's an evil side to him, and you're going to bring that out of him. So you need to go apologize to him. And that's kind of the thread throughout the show, is them kind of talking to each other to try to fix it. And Kurt doesn't really receive it well, but I guess we'll touch more on that when we get there.
I thought it was kind of wild that they, like, this obviously ends up leading to the Kurt and Karen divorce angle. And it was kind of wild for me to look back at it and go, oh, they were planting those seeds here in 07. Obviously, their relationship was seemingly on the rocks at that point. So they were heading in that path, and they were like, okay, let's make it a story. I was like, that's wild.
Yeah, I always wonder, like, how much are they, like, plan on reality? Because I mean, you might know better than I, the timeline. Like, were they heading toward divorce at this point? Or because him and Jarrett, like, their feud, was that like 08, 09?
I think that was, the following year or two.
So it's pretty close. So they gotta at least be, like you said, on the rocks at least. So it's kind of weirdly realistic in that way, but I guess it made for some good TV at some points. But that leads us into our next match here, the first gauntlet of the night. But it's not just a gauntlet, it's a reverse battle royal. Come on now, Jamie. You love a good reverse battle royal. That's what everybody knows about you.
Classic TNA convoluted match type. It's just like, what is happening here? And like, it was convoluted, but it was actually really enjoyable. Like the reverse battle royal part is a bit goofy. Like, wouldn't you have just done a regular battle royal? But then I guess
no. What are you being ridiculous?
Women's match later was basically that. So
yeah, I guess. But yeah, this is like, it's like the meme now, like the reverse battle royal. But it's funny to see it materialize in reality, and you can kind of tell like the wrestlers know how ridiculous it is, so they kind of find their ways to add to it and to make it make sense. But so we got 16 wrestlers.
They didn't explain in the rules that you had to go over the top rope to get in. So I'm like, why are these guys just sliding in? Like, what's happening?
I noticed that as well.
There's a moment where he's now the Murderhawk Monster, Lance Hoyt at the time.
Yes.
He's standing there. There's no one around him. I'm like, just slide in. And he like starts to climb up. I'm like, what are you doing? Just slide in the ring. And I was like, oh.
But you don't even need to climb the turnbuckles. You could just like just hop over the ropes, like roll over it. Like you don't need to like take this slow, like I don't know, man.
The ladder climb moment.
Yes. Well, we got 16 wrestlers to start. So these are the rules. So it starts with 16 wrestlers, and the first 8 that get into the ring over the top rope advance to an over the top rope battle royal. So it goes the other way for the 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final 2 meet in a one-on-one match. So pinfall submission. And whoever wins that match becomes the number 1 seed in a tournament that's going to happen late. So this is all to just determine the seeds of a tournament. So to add on to all this convoluted rules, it doesn't matter. Like I guess there's kind of stakes, but not really because they don't really matter.
Yeah, once you get into the top 8, like it really, whatever, I'm going to be in here anyway. So if I think I can win, as long as I get into the top 8, I've got a chance.
I don't know, but I honestly, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I guess we should just list out who's in it. So we got Petey Williams, Chris Sabin, Junior Fatu, aka Rikishi, Alex Shelley, Shark Boy, Jimmy Rave, Sanjay Dutt, Chris Harris, BG James, Robert Roode, Kaz, James Storm, Lance Hoyt, Kip James, and Eric Young. So first of all, Junior Fatu in TNA. Thoughts on thoughts on Bootylicious being what's on his tights?
That's a disturbing image.
I mean, he's not wrong, I guess. But yeah, it's Rikishi in 08 and 07 TNA. It's I don't think it was a very long
I don't
run.
think it was a very long run. I think it was maybe 6 months.
Something like that. But somehow he's the first one in the ring. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how this bottom heavy guy is the first guy to get over the top rope from the floor. I don't know who let that happen.
Yep. I did like that, like, when all these guys are coming out, I'm like, holy cow, this TNA roster was absolutely stacked. And just look at all these people coming out, like, they're big names now, and they were kind of just coming up at the time.
That's the thing that always gets me about TNA. It's like it has probably the most stacked roster of all time, but it's such like a ridiculous medium for them to be wrestling in. Like TNA feels silly, but it just happens to have like the most talented roster like ever. It's a trip watching it. Kaz hits Bobby Roode with a Spanish fly into the ring. So they're both in the 8, but Kaz does some damage to Roode in the process. So this is kind of how like they're all trying to have like their unique ways of getting in the ring. Like Lance Hoyt accidentally military presses Eric Young from the apron into the ring. Then Lance gets in after that, and then James Storm gets in right before Chris Harris, and James is the last guy. So Chris Harris is just barely snubbed from the Elite 8. And now, I mean, I don't know if anything in particular. This is kind of just, it felt like the eliminations were pretty rapid fire here.
Yeah.
Anything in particular stick out to you in this one?
The thing that really stood out that I wrote down was that it was clear that even back in like 07, TNA management saw Sabin and Shelley as like potential world champion singles guys, because they put them in this tournament and had them have sort of a showcase. Conveniently had one go out at 6 and one go out at 3 so that they would face off in the tournament. But yeah,
right.
Looking at them, I was like, oh, they clearly like earmarked these are our guys for 5-6 years down the line.
Right. No, I totally agree. That was my one note here, is that just watching the young Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, they're still going great. They're still going strong today, which is insane. But yeah, I mean, they're a pretty new team at this point, maybe only a few months in. So, yeah, to your point, they knew early what they had, and it would take them a while to get those world titles. But they got them. So the final, people are getting eliminated. I think the final 2 is Eric Young and Robert Roode, who had been feuding for like the entirety of 2007. So I was like rolling my eyes. Like, of course it's these 2. But Eric Young ends up getting the win here with a small package because, of course, the over-the-top portion has ended and now it's a regular match. So Eric Young gets the win, is now the number 1 seed. And Robert Roode's Roode's tantrum, his break dancing tantrum in the ring was something. But very silly match, but ultimately I was kind of entertained throughout, so I guess it wasn't a bad one.
Yeah, and I can't remember like the results of the tournament, but I suspect like this might have been the tournament where maybe Rude like cemented himself as a main event guy.
Possibly. I feel like we're not quite there yet. I could be wrong. I will say though, before this match, which I forgot to bring up, Christian had a promo in which he said, he was like talking about like, oh, we got this tournament coming up to determine the number 1 contender for the world title, and I'm not in it. Well, I'm pissed, and I blame you, Samoa Joe, and they're going to fight later. But I think Christian said in this promo that he's going to find his way into this tournament somehow. So I'm assuming he's going to like attack somebody and get in the tournament. Maybe he ends up winning it. I wouldn't put it past him, but
that
yeah,
probably
I
makes
don't
more
remember.
sense. Maybe he took out like Eric Young, which is probably what happened. Like they gave Eric the little bit of shine of being the number 1 seed, and then he gets taken out the next week on Impact.
That sounds very 2017. Yes. So would not shock me at all. Speaking of 2017, we got Team Pac-Man backstage. You a big Adam Pac-Man Jones guy there, Jamie?
At this time when I was watching TNA, had no idea who Adam Pac-Man Jones was, but they made him out to be a big deal, so I assumed that he must have been a big deal.
The football? You weren't keeping up with the
Tennessee Titans in 07? No.
No, you're
not at
busy watching your cricket and your snooker or whatever the hell you got over there.
Yep.
But yeah, so the whole Pac-Man thing is just ridiculous because I assume you know because he couldn't get touched. He couldn't take any bumps, nor could he give any bumps. So it's like, why is he here? And the thing in rewatching all this stuff that surprised me that I don't remember is that they mentioned this. It was like canon, like in the kayfabe, that he couldn't be hit or hit anybody. So it's like, why is he there?
Yeah, why is he the tag team champion? What is he doing here?
Because effectively that means that Ron Killings, his partner, is in a handicap match every match that they're a team. And like,
and he's winning, apparently.
Ron the Truth Killings beat Kurt Angle and Sting in a handicap match.
Okay, yeah, that's absurd.
It's a thing that happened. It's a thing that's on the record books.
Ron Killings was really entertaining and really good at this time, but I don't think he's beating those two alone.
No, like there might have been dubious. Maybe the partners attacked each other. There might have been shenanigans afoot, but still, that's what the record books say. But they finally give it. I don't know if the football season's going on, so I don't know if Pac-Man's just going back and he's done with TNA at this point. I'm not really sure, but they apparently have got a fill-in for Pac-Man Jones to team up with Truth, a man named Consequences Creed. I don't know if you've ever heard of this fella. I wonder what he's doing nowadays. Probably, I don't know, boxing somewhere. He's got his, American flag tights. You big Rocky guy?
I was, yes. So when he came out, I was like, I know, I see what they're playing at here. And even Tenay and Don West brought up that, they're doing the whole truth and consequences thing. I was like, that's funny. That's very good.
It's pretty good. I also don't remember that he had Consequences was his nickname, but his name was Rashid Lucius Creed. I don't know if that's a reference to something. It just
I can see why they quickly dropped that.
It's a lot. It's a mouthful. But for anyone unfamiliar, this is the debut of Xavier Woods in TNA. Very young Xavier here, going by Consequences Creed, and he's just he's a Apollo Creed cosplay for whatever reason. Doesn't feel like it fits in with what Ron Killings and Pac-Man got going on. It seems very
it was literally just, we want to make this truth and consequences joke.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much, that was the end of that meeting. Yeah, you're right. But so Team Pac-Man, the tag team champions, are defending against the team of AJ Styles and Tyson Tomko. Man, what do you think about this team? AJ and Tomko as a unit, Christian's coalition, I guess you would say. What do you think of these two blokes together?
They were entertaining at the time. I totally forgot that Tomko was an IWGP tag team champion ever, let alone at this time.
Yeah, with Albert.
Yep. And I kind of hated this period of AJ though. Like they made
Comic relief AJ,
yeah, they made him into a bit of a dork.
Crowd still loved him though. Crowd still loved him, and he would turn it on in the ring. But
yeah, he's back. Like the
was...
backstage promo earlier, he was like begging for like, I want to be cool, like acknowledge me basically. And then at least once he got in the ring, I was like, this is the AJ I like.
Yeah, it was a bit silly for the time, but it had some entertainment value. But yeah, it's like AJ should always be the guy, like in this. I don't know, but it worked out, I guess. But no, I thought it was very interesting that Team Pac-Man comes out, Truth and Pac-Man. They get the pyro, the music, and everything. They walk to the ring. There's no consequences. And then all of a sudden, it just cuts to the side of the ring, and you see Consequences Creed with his goofy hat and his jacket, the red, white, and blue. There's like no fanfare for him, which I guess like nobody knows who he is.
Just
so like, why would there be?
Down to the ring, like where'd this guy come from?
I guess you're the tag team champion for a second. I guess maybe they didn't know what they had.
Yeah, they didn't even do like they didn't even give like Truth a little like in-ring promo to like introduce him or anything. It was just like, oh, here's the guy.
See, that's what I thought was good. I thought Truth and Pac-Man were going to come into the ring and be like, "Hey, here's Consequences Creed," and then he would come out with the dun 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 with the confetti or whatever. But no, he was just there. All right, I guess you're here. I guess we'll wrestle now. But that being said, I mean, by the way, the crowd is still molten hot, even for this kind of weird matchup.
Yeah, a matchup that was advertised as Team Pac-Man, and then at the last second, the Titans pull Pac-Man from the match. Like, nope, you can't do that. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
the crowd was still like, yeah, cool. Thing. We're excited for this.
Like even me in America, like a casual football fan, I didn't know Adam Pac-Man Jones. He was only known because of all the crimes he's committed. Mm-hmm. Like, is that the publicity that we want? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like they had like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or someone big, like a big name quarterback or something coming in. He was a defensive player, wasn't he?
I don't even know if he was good. I don't even think he was.
Yeah, I think he was just like a safety for the Titans. It's like, who cares about a safety?
Oh man. Well, he tries to make his presence known. The funny ways he tries to like be active in matches is always funny. Like sometimes in his matches he'll have like a football, and I guess he's allowed to do that. He can throw footballs at people, or he'll throw money at people, which he tries to do here, but it backfires. Did he do anything else in this match? I feel like that was pretty much it, right? They just try to throw money.
I don't understand why they wouldn't let him throw punches or give people bumps. I understand them not wanting him to take bumps and stuff like that because there is more of a potential for injury, but like surely he could jump up on the apron and punch somebody.
You would think, but was not to be. It was not to be because ultimately Pac-Man tries to make it rain on one of the guy, AJ or something, but this ends up distracting the ref, and AJ is able to capitalize with a phenomenal forearm to Truth, and AJ and Tomko hit the Magic Killer onto Ron Killings, make the pin. New tag team champions, AJ and Tomko.
I did love the creativity of, was it Earl Hebner, like being like so keen to pick up the money? I was like, that's such a great way to like play into that without it being the typical like ref bump.
Right. I forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, he's like on his hands and knees, like, all right, I gotta get this. Good on Earl. I respect it. I respect the hustle. But,
and I love to, like you called out, the Magic Killer, like 3 Good Brothers hitting the Magic Killer. I was like, oh, I know that move.
So I think what we're saying here is that the Bullet Club is a wannabe AJ and Tomko. That's what we're saying.
Pretty much. Or
Is Tomko the patriarch of the Bullet Club?
well, yeah,
Maybe.
AJ was eventually a leader of the Bullet Club, so maybe the Bullet Club started back here.
I think it was Tomko's idea. That's the canon in my head going forward, at least. In my head. I kind of like Tomko. I don't know. He's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I think he kind of fell off at a certain point, but he was a fun big man. I thought he was moving pretty well here. I mean, IWGP is getting his reps in Japan, so
yeah. And he had a unique look with all the like tattoos and stuff. He came in, you're like, oh, that's a guy. It wasn't just, oh, it's just a big dude.
It's a stereotypical like bodyguard, like a bouncer at a club, but he made it work. He was pretty good on the mic too. Like he was a good talent. I don't know. I feel like his ceiling was higher than he ended up reaching, but I think he ended up I don't know, having some troubles down the road. But champion's here, so we got at least 2 wrestlers as the tag team champions. So that's a step in the right direction, I think, right?
Yep.
And we got Xavier Woods here, which ends up paying dividends, I would say. But man, I
totally forgot this was where he debuted. It was a nice surprise.
Yeah, it's a very just, very low key debut, which is just comical in hindsight. Because I mean, out of the 4 people in here, maybe with the exception of AJ Styles, probably the biggest name coming out of this, arguably. But we go backstage, so the saga of Kurt and Karen and Kevin Nash continues. We got JB's talking to Karen Angle because apparently Sting put out a restraining order against her because she kept interfering in all his matches, which I feel like, why don't more people do that? When you have somebody like interfering in all your matches, get a restraining order again. If it's that easy.
Well, yeah, Cody Rhodes could have used that in the Bloodline storyline for about 3 years.
Oh man, just get his lawyers together. That would have just saved us at least a year. But yeah, Kurt is asking. Oh, no. Karen walks into the locker room and finds Kevin Nash flirting with Angelina Love, who's like laying on her back. Well, whatever her name is at this point.
Angel Williams.
Angel Williams. Yes. So they're talking. Karen tells her to scram so she can talk to Kevin. And Karen goes to Kevin and is like, hey, you need to talk to Kurt. Kevin Nash is like, I tried, but he's too stubborn. And so the whole thought here is that Kevin, like, his meal ticket is Kurt Angle because Kurt has like gotten the advice and the counsel from Nash. And Karen's like, well, what are you gonna do? Wrestle again? Nash, you can't even get in the ring, which is funny because Kevin Nash would go on to wrestle for like several years after this. But
yeah, they really gave Kevin a lot of crap about his knees in this show.
Yeah, and then he ends up getting physical later, but yeah, I guess ultimately she convinces Kevin Nash to go talk to Kurt to kind of, I guess the idea is that Karen wants Kurt to apologize to Sting so that they have just a good old fashioned competitive match instead of a blood feud. Is that what I'm?
Yeah, I don't know what her plan was there. They were still going to wrestle.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Like, is this really worth the effort to maybe neuter some aggression from Sting? It all felt convoluted, but that is TNA. So
yeah, like I don't think if Kurt apologized, Sting was going to like, oh yeah, well I don't want to wrestle for the world title in Atlanta where I made my name.
Yeah, no bats, just collar and elbow tie-ups, I guess, Kurt. Thank you for the apology for beating up my son. All is forgiven.
Yep.
All is forgiven. But from there, we go to the X Division title is on the line here. We got Black Machismo, Jay Lethal, defending against Christopher Daniels. Honestly, just like a really solid match. I didn't have a ton of notes on this one. It was just one of those matches like, oh, this is good. This is good. Like nothing storyline heavy or anything. It was just a good wrestling match. What'd you make of this one?
Yeah, I wrote down, high speed, all action type match. And this is exactly the match type that made me fall in love with TNA when I first saw it. The X Division was my shit. That was what I was like, I love the X Division. And yeah, this is what I fell in love with. And I loved the finish of the super lethal combination off the top. It was crazy.
I mean, that's got to do a lot of damage to your own knees doing that, no? I never knew he did that. Maybe it's the only time he ever did it.
From either people.
Yeah, no, it was, but
Especially
it
in the
looked,
6 sides.
yeah. I mean, throughout the match, it's a bunch of counter wrestling, just very seamless stuff. These guys have wrestled each other a bunch at this point. Good near falls all throughout. We got they're countering each other's signature moves. But like you mentioned, the end comes when Lethal hits a lethal combination off the second rope. For those unfamiliar, that's like a backbreaker into a face buster.
Mhm.
And just the concept of that. Just first of all, the fact that they made it look as smooth as it did is a testament to their talent. But yeah, it's brutal. But it's a big stage, so I guess if not now, when?
Yeah, and the positioning of this was so good on the card because we just had the tag titles, which is kind of that convoluted outside interference type stuff,
Right.
and then we lead into another tag match with the Steiners and Dudleys straight after this. So it was like nice to have just here's a straight up high quality wrestling match between two brilliant guys.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a thing on this show that is a lot better than a lot of shows from this era that I've watched. There was a lot of pretty clean matches.
Mhm.
Like there were a few matches on the show. It was just like two guys wrestling, or two teams or whatever, and that's it. So it leaned heavy on the in-ring action. Like honestly, story-wise, there's not a ton. There's a few matches that have heavy story, but a lot of these are just like here's some wrestling matches, whatever. But it worked out. So yeah, another good match here. So they're pretty much batting 1,000 here. TNA on this show. Jay Lethal defends and he retains his title, and they do a good job at like moving from one thing to another, like not keeping the same thing too often, because we get this beautiful wrestling match, and then the next segment is the Steiners cutting a promo. It's like you got a little bit of everything. I mean, just man, is Scott Steiner the best promo of all time, do you think?
He's a very entertaining promo. I don't know whether he like gets his message across most of the time, because it feels like ever since the Steiner math promo, he's just like was trying to recapture that and just be absurd and have something go viral, but didn't really
Right.
achieve that in this one. It's kind of like, what is happening?
It is just an electric promo. Calling the Dudleys fat asses, just the ways, and all both your fat asses. I mean, he kept saying that. He's just his comedy, his timing is just fantastic. And we haven't even had Steiner math yet, where we're close to it, but we've had a few
pre-Steiner math.
No, but this is post Mexico North. Is that what it was? Yeah. So he's had some lines. He's had some barn burners on the mic at this point. And that transitions us right into that match. So we got a best 2 out of 3 falls tables match. So not an elimination tag, or not an elimination tables match. 2 out of 3 falls tables match. It feels like a convoluted way to describe it, but
except I think they had to be. It was each of the falls had to be a different member of the team. Was it?
I don't think they ever made that clear, which is why, like, when you see best of 2 out of 3 falls, I'm like, oh, you could still compete if you get put through a table, but it didn't seem like they really did. I guess they kind of did.
Yeah, because they don't make it clear, so technically they could have just put Devon through twice.
Theoretically, yeah. I mean, I think eventually it was all
it ended up being
put through table, yeah,
one of each, but
right. And we're hot off of Scott Steiner's throat injury in Puerto Rico. So these two teams were supposed to face each other at Slammiversary, I think it was, but then that injury happened and it got delayed. And then they had a match at the previous pay-per-view, I believe, in which the Steiners won. But the Dudleys did not take too kindly to that. They attacked the Steiners on Impact, and they attacked Scott's throat. My God, these damn Dudleys. With the brutal, like, Bubba would hold the chair on his throat, and then Devon would come and smash it. It was brutal looking. Brutal.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where I was like, I don't know how that didn't actually hurt the guy.
Yeah, right? The margin for error is so low there. They did it to Shark Boy as well. What did Shark Boy do to deserve this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who hates Shark
Just-
Boy that much?
You didn't like Shark Boy?
No, I don't know who could hate Shark Boy that much
Oh,
that they're
okay.
willing to do that to him.
Yes,
Shark
I
Boy's
almost had to kick you from the room there. From the deep blue sea, Shark Boy. But he's not in this match, unfortunately. We got this is a very plunder heavy match. Obviously, it's a tables match, but it's very, fighting around the arena, whatever, you trash cans and stuff, which again, like, it's very different from anything we've seen so far on the show. So they're doing a good job at kind of giving you ebbs and flows throughout the show, making sure it's not too monotone. It was a brawl. It's two teams that are past their prime. They kind of know what it is, but I think it was about as good as it could have been. I don't know. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, like it was fine for what it was. It was kind of just get these two well-known names and teams onto the show as kind of like, hey, here's what TNA, like if you're a WWE fan at the time, like here's two teams that come and check us out. And then they draw them in, and then the X division and the other elements hopefully hook you in.
Right. Yeah, this is a good match to like put on a poster, like front and center. Like, these guys.
And they're having a 2 out of 3 falls tables match. Like it's going to be nuts. And it was, classic brawl all over the arena type thing. And the biggest problem for me was that the table breaking at the end kind of just sucked the air out of the finish. It was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it was. Well, I guess so. They 3D, the Dudleys do. They 3D Rick through a table for the first fall, and then Scott hits a Frankensteiner onto Bubba off the top rope, and Bubba barely nicks the table. But I thought I didn't know. I thought he was going to completely sky past it, but he got it, and the table broke. So now we're 1-1. So next person that goes through a table loses. The Dudleys beat on Scott Steiner, and to your point, they lay him on a table, and the table just, which that's got to count, right?
Well, yeah, they technically put him on the table and then it broke. So technically they put him through said table.
I think we need to run this back because it's a bit of a fishy decision so I think let's get this going. 2025 AEW or whatever, book it. Let's make this happen.
TNA and Don West did try to like cover it and like get it so that it made sense, but yeah, when it happened, I was like, oh, that really sucks the air out of the room. And this is kind of the one point where the crowd was like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like everybody kind of knows, like, it wasn't supposed to happen. Let's do it again. Didn't that happen recently at Wrestle? I think it was with Bubba, right? When he was with the Street Profits, there was like some table that like broke, or like the leg of it was broken or something. Yeah. They had to like get a new table. It's tables. They don't cooperate.
Tables are kind of finicky at times. It even happened on, there was an AEW show recently where they were on the announce desk and it just like collapsed underneath them and they're like, crap.
Yeah, that'll happen. But they get another table and they set Scott on it. And just comical how like gingerly they're like, all right, Scott, let's get on there, like holding their breath, and then it held them. And I guess the idea they were gonna do that throat spot again with the chairs. Was the idea that they were gonna hit him so hard that he was gonna go through the table?
Through the table.
I guess with how weak these tables are, I guess that could work. But that is not what happens because the Motor City Machine Guns come out because they're not going to have this happen again. The Dudleys have gone too far. Machine Gun, they come out and they distract the Dudleys long enough, and they get all discombobulated. Each of Team 3D, they have a chair and they try to hit one of the Steiners, but they duck. So the Dudleys hit each other, and then the Steiners are able to hit their double team Doomsday Device Bulldog through the table, I believe onto Devon, and that gives them the win. So the Steiners get the win in this tables match.
Mm-hmm. The Machine Guns coming out, I was going like, wait, what? Aren't they like in a singles tournament now? Like, don't they have different priorities. Like, surely there's another tag team in the back somewhere that they could have just trotted out for this.
Yeah, I would, if I had to guess, because I don't remember. Because if the machine guns are going to face each other on Impact, I would guess like the Dudleys probably interfere in that and make it like a double, like a no contest or something, so neither of them move on.
Yeah.
I bet you. And then like Christian wins, and then he gets a bye because of where he's sitting in the bracket. I bet there's like some nonsense like that happens. But
Yeah, because this was most likely the kickoff of that long Dudley's machine guns back and forward feud.
Which I remember that being pretty fun. I mean, it's total, polar opposites, which you would think would make a good feud. So don't know. But we move on from that to the ladies. We got the birth of the Knockouts division on this show. Very historic here. And we cut backstage to 4 ladies that are all debuting on this show. We got Shelly Martinez, who was Ariel from she was Kevin Thorne's lady in ECW. And we got the ladies that would go on to be the beautiful people, Angelina Love and Velvet Sky, but they are Angel Williams and Talia Madison.
Yep.
At this point. Not sure what kind of brought on the name change, but and ODB is also here, and she grabs the mic from JB and starts insulting everybody. And they all get very catty and start insulting each other. And then in walks Awesome Kong, and everybody runs away. So, and that's what sets up this inaugural knockout title gauntlet match.
Which again, somewhat convoluted.
Yeah, just the fact that there's 2 gauntlets. I guess the reverse battle royal wasn't really a gauntlet per se, but I don't know, it's too similar. And
but even this isn't like really a gauntlet. This is basically just like a rumble, but finishes with a standard final 2.
Yeah. No, yeah, I guess that's exactly what it is. It's a Royal Rumble, but then the final 2, it becomes a regular match. And so we got those 5 women that I mentioned before that are all debuting, but we also got Tracy Brooks, Jackie Moore, Gail Kim, Christy Hemme, and Roxy Laveau. So it's these, I guess, 10 women wrestling here. I mean, TNA started the women's revolution, I would say. No?
Oh, yeah. And Gail was like the key to that. The fact that they got her after sort of what happened in WWE, and she just kind of got fed up and left mid-match, basically. To then her to come across and then be like, okay, we're going to build a division around you. Like, clearly you have something special and want to build something special as a wrestler, not just a woman on the show. Is very, very smart.
Yeah, no, for sure. And she's been there for a few years at this point. So she's spent a lot of time as like a valet for like Jeff Jarrett and AMW's. And commentary is kind of hammering that she's been fighting for this division. So, behind closed doors, she's been like trying to make this happen, and it eventually happened. And, spoiler alert, she ends up winning the damn thing, which, makes all the sense in the world, given that she's basically the reason probably that this is happening.
Yep. Yeah. Well, as the people are coming out, I'm like, well, there's only 2 people that are winning this. It's either Gail Kim or Awesome Kong.
That's what I was thinking that too. And it was interesting how Awesome Kong and her involvement here, but I guess we'll just kind of walk through it chronologically. First of all, immediately you can tell that TNA is going to take the women more seriously than WWE, because you have to be thrown over the top rope to be eliminated, whereas WWE can just like slide under the bottom.
Yeah, at the time they were just like, as long as you end up on the floor, whatever.
You gals can't jump. You're not athletic. Just go on, get your heels on and scoot on out of here. So,
on that though, TNA, this really was like a very sort of hypersexual focus in terms of the presentation of some of these ladies. Like that promo beforehand where we're introduced to Shelly Martinez, the shot is like a close-up of her chest. And then as some of the girls are coming out, they are some very enhanced women coming out in this match. I was like, this was the era of big, big implants.
Comical. There's some of them are just silly. I mean,
like Miss Brooks, Shelly Martinez, even ODB coming out. I'm like, holy moly.
Well, ODB her character wouldn't make sense if she just had small boobs. You know what I'm saying? So,
yep.
Shelly Martinez. It's funny because she comes out. Well, Jackie and Tracy start, and people come in like every 45 seconds or whatever. Shelly's the third one out, and commentary is like, "All right, watch out for some of Shelly's lucha libre that she's gonna bust out," and she proceeds to be probably the most unathletic person in this match. I don't even know if she's like, because she's only been a valet, I believe, up to this point, at least on TV. So
yeah, I don't think she even does does she do a head scissors or a Hurricane Rana or something? I can't remember. I don't think she did much.
Oh no, it's very short. I think she even got eliminated like off screen at some point, or maybe I just missed it somehow. So these three are in. Then Awesome Kong is fourth, and ODB is fifth. And then at that point, everybody gangs up on Kong to try to get her out of there. And oh, by the way, during ODB's entrance, Tracy Brooks is eliminated, and I think Shelly was eliminated at this point. Kong fights out of this, though, beats up everybody, hits Jackie Moore with a huge implant buster, which was that kind of angel's wings pedigree type move.
Yep.
And then Kong throws Jackie out of there. Angel Williams comes out next, and then Christy Hemme comes out, and then Awesome Kong puts this torture rack onto Christy Hemme, and by golly, this has got to be the most devastating torture rack ever, no?
Yeah, she's got it kicking herself in the top of the head. I was like, wow. Christy's either very flexible or in a lot of pain after this match.
Yeah, it was. And by the way, she never got eliminated. She got, I guess, medically taken out because after that torture act, medical was checking on her and they just took her out. So
yeah, it was a torture
technically,
act, and then the power bomb looked like it might have maybe knocked her a bit loopy.
That's right. There was a power bomb. I was going to say, because Christy Hemme still in this match, technically. So still has claim to that Knockouts title if she's still around. I don't know. But so
I think she did end up going on to win the Knockouts title at some point.
Did she? I mean, maybe. I don't really remember, but it sounds like a thing that could have happened.
Yeah, I think eventually they gave her a short
run. Gail Kim is in next. Huge missile drop kick to Awesome Kong up as she gets in the ring. And I'm just like, man, I'm so looking forward to reliving this rivalry between these two. Gail Kim, Awesome Kong. I mean, that's what put it on the map, no?
Yeah. Some of their matches were the best match on the show when they had them.
I mean, they were main eventing Impacts, which was unheard of. Yeah, it was crazy. Talia Madison comes out, and then as she's coming out, everybody in the ring bands together to eliminate Awesome Kong. They throw her over. What happened here? She gets thrown over the top rope, and just it seems like her entire attire just explodes.
Yeah. I think the straps on the side must have like just tore off as it got caught on the top rope or something, and just gone.
Lucky first row for those in attendance. Am I right or am I wrong? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thankfully it was like really quick, like for her, that it didn't just like fly off and disappear. Like it came back down. So at least it came back.
Yeah. So, but even that aside, it felt like kind of I thought for sure Gail Kim and Awesome Kong would have been the final two. It just felt like a very kind of just thrown to the side elimination of the favorite probably coming into this.
Yeah, I guess they wanted to sort of play into that. It took everyone to get rid of her. Like if she then comes back and has a one-on-one, she's going to be unstoppable, which is probably where eventually led and helped build Gail up when she did have a couple of strong defenses.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, because I guess Gail, to your point, they wanted to have a lot of people needed to eliminate her instead of just Gail. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. Roxy Laveau comes out, so now everybody has entered the match. Gail Kim tosses out Talia and Roxy, or Roxy throws out ODB, and yeah, I guess Gail Kim and Roxy Laveau are the final two. So now we have a regular match in which Gail Kim wins with the air raid crash. 1, 2, 3. First ever Knockouts champion. And I mean, she's still involved with the company to this day. So definitely the right decision. She just in hindsight.
Recently get released.
You know what? She did. She did.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
This year they decided that they couldn't afford her anymore, basically.
That's right. Well, yeah, she was involved with the company for a while and weirdly made another go at WWE, which didn't really pan out well either. So, but yeah, it was cool to see just the birth of a division that's still going strong today, and pretty fun gauntlet, fun introduction of the beautiful people and Awesome Kong and all these people. So it was a fun watch. I thought this was.
Yep, and it's like such a diverse roster of women. Like everybody in that match had their thing and what made them stand out. There was no sort of, there's just like generic blonde number 2. It was
right.
Like even like Talia and Angel Williams, they are different people. They look different. But then when they paired together as the beautiful people, it still made sense that they were together.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And looking at the lineup here, I think Gail Kim might have been the only one without implants. And just thinking of the science of a battle royal, that'd probably make you more top heavy, which would make you more susceptible to getting thrown over a top rope. So maybe that was the key for her.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense in terms of physics.
Yeah, I'll have to do the calculations later, but I think that makes sense.
I also just wanted to note too that this is probably one of my favorite women's title belt designs of all time. Like it is such a nice belt.
It's a good one. The white strap. I mean, they set the tone with the white strap too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe other companies were doing it, but the women having the white strap, I don't remember any other, maybe Ring of Honor or something had that, or Shimmer. But no, it was a good looking belt for sure. But after that, we cut backstage to more of the Kevin Nash saga. He finds Kurt in his locker room, tries to talk some sense into him. Kurt calls Kevin Nash a pussy.
Sign of the times.
That was so abrupt and like, geez, Kurt. He really is. I mean, this era of Kurt, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but because Kevin's just here, he's trying to get Kurt to go talk to Sting. He says, hey, say you're sorry for attacking his son, and then you can just go out there and have a good competitive match. And then Kurt's like, what do you, that's when he calls him a pussy, and then Kevin says that, well, if you're not going to go do what I'm saying, then I'm not going to be out there to support you during your match tonight. And Kurt's like, well, I don't want you out there. You can't walk anyways, you crippled piece of shit. Mm-hmm. And Kevin's like, hey, Kurt, if you lose the title, I lose everything. Which I don't know if it was smart to put all of your eggs in the Kurt Angle basket, especially during this period.
Well, I guess during this period, it probably wasn't the worst idea. The Perk Angle run was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I guess he's so volatile though. You don't know what he's.
That is the problem.
And Kurt says he walks off. He's like, "Well, I'm gonna go take a big heavy Nash," which is that's rude. I thought it's calling him poop.
It was quite the ending for the promo.
We make movies, pal. But we shift from that ridiculousness to something pretty damn good, I thought. We got Samoa Joe versus Christian Cage with special enforcer Matt Morgan. My goodness. My goodness. So, Matt Morgan, first of all. Good talent. Would go on to do some pretty good things in TNA. He's the enforcer here. I have questions on his enforcer uniform, I guess we'll call it. So he comes out, no shirt, but slacks. Mm-hmm. But he's oiled up. but he's wearing like dress shoes, and he's doing like a whole entrance with his taunt and everything. But he's just wearing. I don't know. If you were an enforcer of a match, what do you think you would wear?
Probably not slacks. Maybe jeans at most.
Yeah,
And probably a shirt. But it was classic. Matt Morgan was kind of always oiled up and shirtless, unless he was in a full suit.
I bet you he was still oiled up in a suit.
Yeah, probably.
Just in case.
Just in case
he just wakes up.
Came off somehow.
he wakes up seeping. But that aside, we got Samoa Joe versus Christian. The reason Matt Morgan is involved is because these two had a match at the previous pay-per-view and ended up in a DQ finish. And Samoa Joe tried to hang Christian Cage with his t-shirt, but Matt Morgan came in to stop it, and now there's hostility with everybody involved. So now Matt Morgan's here to lay the law to make sure that there's a winner here. And man, this was you can make an argument, at least in my opinion, that this was match of the night.
This was my favorite match of the show.
What about it? But I mean, I feel like these guys' chemistry, like I feel like the slimy but athletic heel in Christian against the explosive and powerful Samoa Joe, I feel like that just fits so well together, and it plays to both of their strengths. What about this one spoke to you?
I just loved how like it was like really stiff. Like it was one of those ones where you're like, I'm believing every single thing happening here. Like they open with really hard slaps, and it's like, oh, there's something fiery about this. And then yeah, like you said, this was like Christian really finding his feet as a singles guy in TNA and establishing that I'm not here to just be comedy Christian that you've seen for the last 10 years or so in WWE. I'm here to be a main event player, and I'm going to really cement myself that way against a guy that has been sort of a main event guy here in Samoa Joe, who was still on the up at this point. Like he was not main event mafia Samoa Joe. He was kind of X Division about to launch into main event status world title Joe. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, they both, I'm sure, are very hungry. You know, neither, it's not like a title match or anything. It's not the main event. So there's probably some sense of a chip on their shoulders. So that probably adds to the fire. I mean, there was no fat to this match. I mean, it was just action from start to finish. It's refreshing to see Christian in a match where there's not a bunch of tomfoolery and run-ins and shenanigans. It was just a straight up match. I mean, Matt Morgan, he made his presence known because Tomko and AJ tried to get in there, but Morgan, he beat off Tomko. All right. Okay, guys, he beat off Tomko in the aisle. It was crazy. It got him to stop. And then AJ tries to sneak in the back door, tries to springboard into the ring, but Matt Morgan from the floor grabs him on the top rope and pulls him down and throws him into Tomko, and they both scurry away. So his presence he made his presence known here, and he played a part. And I don't know if any like parts of the match stuck out to you. I mean, the beginning where it's like Christian hits a pendulum kick through the ropes, and then he tries to fly to the outside onto Joe, but Joe gets out of the way, and Christian just rams the barricade, and then Joe back in, suicide dive, kicks him through the barricade. It was just like bam, 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 this whole match. And I thought it was good stuff. Any specific parts of this match stick out to you at all?
The thing that I broke down was there's a spot where Joe goes to hit a tornado to the floor over the ropes, and it was a rough landing. I was like, oh,
splat.
Just barely hit anybody. Not like the Matt Morgan as a big guy didn't do a great job of catching.
No, he's tall, but he's not wide. So you gotta like, I don't know. It's not a lot of surface area to hit. Maybe I don't know. No, yeah. Outside of that, I mean, there was just both of them kind of take turns getting into Morgan's face, but he's not budging. They get in the ring, countering each other's moves. We get a beautiful Classic Samoa Joe walk away as Christian tries to spring off the second rope with the middle finger. Classic stuff. At some point, so as Matt Morgan is taking out AJ and Tomko, has distracted Joe, and this allows Christian to hit a low blow and then an unprettier to Joe for a very close 2 count. I thought that might have been it. I forgot who won this match. Christian then tries to lock in the choke on Samoa Joe, trying to use his own move against him. But Joe carries him into the corner, spins and smashes him into the corner, spinning enziguri, muscle buster, choke, tap out. Classic Joe finish, but just everything just felt so snug and just impactful, and it felt like a very satisfying finish, and just overall awesome match.
Yeah, and like feeds into obviously the Joe trying to choke him out, the hanging on the previous show to then choke him out in this one to get the finish. It was perfect.
They both like choking. Who doesn't, though? Am I right or am I wrong, Jamie?
Not the biggest fan.
Oh, well, I'll keep that in mind. Backstage, though, I know what you were thinking. Like, what is Kevin Nash doing backstage now? Well, let me tell you. He finds Sting. Sting is pissed that Kevin is trying to protect Kurt Angle. Kevin is like, hey, he's all I got. He's as close as I'll be to ever being back in the game. And Sting says, well, game over, Kevin, which is cold line from the Stinger. So basically nothing has been accomplished, but I guess we'll touch more on that when we get to the match itself. But before that, a little tune-up for the main event. We got Monsters Ball. 4-way. Rhino versus Raven versus Abyss versus Black Rain. A lot to unpack here.
There's some very unique characters in this one.
First of all, I don't know if you remember, because this is the 4th Monsters Ball, according to commentary. Originally, this matchup, I don't know if you remember this, the idea was that everybody in the match was kept in like solitary confinement for, I don't know if it was a day or a week, but they could have no food, no water, no sunlight, and they were just uncaged into the match. So it made them more like, I don't know, rabid or whatever, but I guess they dropped that element.
No, they're just like, it's just basically a hardcore match.
But it was, it's plunder, it's crazy. I mean, what thoughts? I mean, just initial thoughts on this one.
I enjoyed this one more than I expected to. I particularly like the diversity and uniqueness of some of the weapons that they used throughout this. Like we've seen crutches used before, but I don't think I've ever seen a shopping trolley used in that way in the ring, not just like off to the side, out the back.
Right.
The golf club was also another interesting addition in there. And yeah, just really fun. The balcony dive was pretty nuts and looked like a very rough landing for everyone involved in that.
Yeah. Yeah, no one in this match is really a spring chicken. So seeing all these crazy bumps was wild to see. But yeah, the shopping cart callback to Backlash 2001, the Rhino and Raven hardcore match. I don't know if you remember that match. That's one of my favorite matches, as far as like just being a quick sprint of a hardcore match. And there was a spot there where Rhino tried to gore Raven into a shopping cart, but Raven got out of the way and Rhino speared himself through the shopping cart. So they're playing on that here, where Raven tries to do the same thing to Rhino, but Rhino gets out of the way and Raven goes through the shopping cart. It was just comical, but they're like picking up the shopping cart and hitting each other with it. It was crazy. It was like a video game.
Yep.
Of course, there's like your typical, like your trash can lids, kendo sticks. But to your point, Rhino with a golf club into a trash can, into Black Rain's balls. What else here? Rhino gore
through the wall on the stage.
The sturdy wall. How did he go through that?
Yep.
Cardboard wall.
Yeah, that balcony dive, I just thought it was so funny because they had like this. It was basically just 2 tables stacked on top of each other, and I was like,
Mhm.
"That's not a very wide landing spot." And yeah, ultimately, it wasn't wide enough because it kind of toppled over.
Yeah, not the most well thought out because what Raven beats up on Abyss and sets him up on the table. Black Rain climbs because it's set up like below the balcony. Black Rain climbs to the top, but he won't jump. So Raven goes up there. He's like, "Hey, Gold Dust, jump off!" And then he won't. So Raven shoves him, and then Raven jumps off, and yeah, just a very rough.
Yeah,
It
like
was kind of like
almost overshoots it, and then it topples, and like he basically lands on his wrist and head. I'm like, yeah, maybe we should have double widened the tables just to give a little bit more leeway on how much room we had to land on.
perhaps,
Which is kind of what you see
perhaps.
these days. They do the 2 or 3 tables wide. It's like, it's impossible to miss this.
Yeah, yeah. They still find ways though sometimes. But back in the ring, everybody kind of recovers. Black Rain gives Raven the shattered dreams, but without all the it was funny seeing him do it, but without like the gold dust flare to it. He just kind of like puts his legs up. He's like, "All right, I guess I'll just kick you now."
Kick you now.
What do you think of Black Rain?
It was a nice way to pay homage to Gold Dust without like infringing on trademarks
His
and
alter
copyrights and
ego.
stuff.
It was
It's
he
it's
comes
like
out with his
basically what he's
rat.
doing now as Dustin Rhodes. It's just Gold Dust with a different paint job.
Right. Paint job, yeah. It really is what it is. But Don West, he said something about Raven's balls getting creamed, which caught me off guard for a bit.
Yeah.
Um yeah, don't know. Don't know about that one. Rhino gores Black Rain, and then the tax get brought into play. Raven unloads a black bag full of tax, and then James Mitchell comes out because at this point, James Mitchell has introduced his son, Judas Macias, to go against Abyss, which I'm surprised. I don't know why Judas wasn't on this show. Maybe he had like other obligations in Mexico or something.
Yeah, because he was still with AAA at the time, was it?
I'm not totally sure. He was Mil Muertes, I believe is.
Yeah, he was with one of either AAA or CMLL, and I imagine there must have been some sort of
Yeah.
clash. So they were like, "Oh, we'll just have James Mitchell run this spot to continue the feud."
So James Mitchell, he brings out another bag, this time full of broken glass. I guess tacks aren't enough anymore. So Mitchell hands this to Raven, and Raven pours the broken glass onto the tacks to create one little diabolical pile of sharp shit. And but ultimately, though, as per wrestling logic, he sets the tacks in the glass, so he gets put through it
Yep, if you set it up,
by
you're not using it.
by Abyss. Black hole slam into this pile, and that gets the win. So Abyss wins.
Hits it like perfectly square. It's not like every now and then you'll see people put the tacks down and like they'll go to slam someone and they barely hit it. Like he nailed it dead center, got him perfectly.
He's the best. He's the best. But yeah, it's very interesting that we're still in the middle of this Abyss Judas Macias thing. What's your point? I mean, maybe just pause it. James Mitchell's here to kind of be the thread to kind of bridge it through this show. And no, just a fun plunder match. It wasn't really more than it needed to be, I guess. So I guess it did what it sought out to do.
Yeah, I think it was kind of just a breather from the heavy in-ring of Joe Christian before we got to Kurt Sting. Of just like, here's some crazy wackiness. If you need a break to go to the bathroom, get some drinks or whatever, go do it now. Come back, watch the main event. But cool to see Abyss get like his first victory in a Monsters Ball too.
It's a good point. Yeah, they mentioned that on commentary, which I was very surprised. But
yeah.
Oh,
in my head, he won every single one he was in, but no,
right.
He lost more than he won.
It's like Undertaker. Hasn't Undertaker like lost most of his Hell in a Cell matches? Isn't that like a stat or something? I could be totally wrong.
And casket matches too, I think.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking. Or Kane's lost all the Inferno matches. It is stuff like that. It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's not your specialty. But we're here at the main event, ladies and gentlemen. We got the TNA World title on the line. We got the champion, Kurt Angle, defending against Sting. You mentioned this earlier, how Atlanta is where Sting made his name with WCW. It's also where Kurt Angle won his gold medal. So it's, in a way, a homecoming for both of these guys. And that's pretty much the entire story here, other than Kurt Angle beating up Sting's son and taking his jersey. But that being said, there's a lot of, the classic TNA run-ins and tomfoolery is we get that in spades towards the end here, but I thought this was a fine main event. What did you think about this in general?
Yeah, I enjoyed this as a main event. Again, this is the TNA title in this time was a beautiful title belt. They had great belts in this era. I loved the match intros with Jeremy Borash too. He really made this feel like a big deal match.
Yeah, for sure. No other match on the card got that kind of intro. So yeah, definitely set it up like, oh, this is the match we came to watch. And so we have this like blood feud. Obviously, Sting, he's trying to get revenge on Kurt for attacking his son. And you can see, I always love the detail of like when Kurt's making his entrance, Sting is like trying to get at him, but the ref is like backing him up. So you can like feel the animosity between these two. But ultimately, the bell rings and it's like collar and elbow tie up stuff, which I kind of like. Is like, you can't just come out guns blazing, because I guess the logic here is that that's what Kurt is anticipating. So Sting is kind of going against what Kurt thinks is going to happen. So, so I like that element of storytelling in the beginning. You got Sting like out wrestling Kurt in the beginning, catching him so off guard. It's not what he thought was going to happen. Yeah, it's good counter wrestling throughout here. Stinger splashes, ankle locks, into Scorpion death locks. Just sometimes I just got to take a step back and be like, we got Kurt Angle versus Sting, and like pretty close to their, not quite their primes, but like pretty close to their primes. It's pretty crazy that this is a match that happened.
Yeah, and yeah, they both went out there and just like tried to show that, hey, we can still go. Like, we're not nostalgia acts at this point. We can still have a really high quality wrestling match. And Kurt's hitting some crazy things like the 450 knee drop. I was like, where did that come from? I don't know if it was meant to be a knee drop.
Yeah, no. I was about to say, I think it was more like a 400 splash.
Yeah.
But it looked brutal regardless. So mission accomplished.
Was this like pre-Kurt doing the moonsault off the cage as well?
He's done it in WWE at this point. I don't think he had done it in TNA yet. He was perking. He was perking at this point, so there was nothing he wouldn't do.
Yep.
But he could still have a damn good match.
It was Kurt being like, hey, I'm not just a ground and pound amateur wrestling star. Like, I can look what I can do. I can do this crazy high flying stuff too. Don't need to do that, Kurt. Just calm down.
He tried. Karen Angle comes out. Now is when it was tough to take notes on this because it was just so much happening.
Shenanigans central.
Karen Angle comes out, even though there's a restraining order against her, because Sting is in the ring, so she is within that yardage or whatever. So security comes out to take out Karen. And as all this is happening, the ref is getting involved to try to help Karen get taken out. And this allows Kevin Nash to come through the back door, clothesline Sting, allows Kurt to hit the angle slam, makes the pin, but the ref is distracted. And by the time the ref gets back in, is only able to get a 2 count. So, and I think it's at this point, Kurt busts out the 450 knee drop, which is crazy. We got a little, ankle lock. Sting rolls through, sends Kurt into Nash, knocks Nash off the apron. Then we got Kurt goes to clothesline Sting, but Sting ducks and Sting hits the referee. Or Kurt hits the referee, knocks the referee out. Then we got Scorpion Deathlock, but there's no ref. But then there's a new ref in, makes the count. But then Kevin pulls that referee and clocks him, so he's knocked out. And then the bat, the baseball bat, is brought out. And I'm thinking this might be a real bat, folks, because Kurt grabs the bat, goes to hit Sting in the head with it, and Sting almost blocks it. Timing was a little off, because the bat cracks Sting in the forehead, busts him open, but Sting grabs his bat with the idea of, oh no, I blocked it. Don't mind this blood.
Yeah, definitely not a gimmicked up bat there.
Maybe it should have been. But the Sting grabs the bat, takes out both Nash and Angle with it. Scorpion Death Drop. 1, 2, 3. Sting is your new world champion. And just the imagery of Sting holding the title with the just gaping hole in his forehead, bleeding. Wasn't bleeding until that final spot of the match. So, yeah, I mean, I think this match is probably known more so for that spot than anything. But ultimately, it was shenanigans. I don't mind a little bit of shenanigans, especially considering all the cleanish matches we've seen on this show. Mm-hmm. I thought this fit well. I didn't mind it too much. Yeah,
it was like the typical sort of main event booking of like, we want to try and keep both of these guys looking pretty strong so that the story can continue. This isn't the blow-off match. We need this to continue on down the road for another few months.
Yeah. I feel like Sting, he couldn't have been world champion for 2. I feel like they always like gave him the title at Bound for Glory, and then he dropped it pretty soon after to begin the next chase. But no, it was good stuff. And yeah, that wraps up Bound for Glory.
And you mentioned like the multiple refs. I loved there was one ref on this show that was just in shorts.
Oh,
every time he popped up, I'm like, oh, that's a unique look for a ref just running around in shorts.
This guy, damn it, what was this? It wasn't Skip. It was like something like that though. It always bothers me. Have a proper uniform. You know what I'm saying? Shorts.
I think he worked in like the crazy gauntlet at the start, like the over the top reverse battle royal thing. I think in that situation, it's like kind of okay because it's a goofy match anyway. But like to then have him like show up in some of the more serious matches, I was like, okay, that's a little bit distracting.
Yeah.
And then after Sting wins the title, I did laugh at him like just yelling at the ref to like get out, let me celebrate, because the ref is coming in like trying to tell him like the belt's upside down. He's like, get out! I know what I'm doing. I'm Sting.
I'm Sting, he says. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, good stuff there. I mean, hot period for TNA. And we still got a lot of people to come in. I think Booker T comes in soon, and almost at Main Event Mafia, I think. And it's just can't stop him. Can't stop him there. That's peak TNA, as far as I'm concerned. He's fat. That era of TNA.
I did like, man. Like the Main Event Mafia was a kind of a thing that a lot of people didn't seem to like at the time, but I enjoyed the Main Event Mafia. I enjoyed Fortune. They were a really interesting tag team, like or faction of the kind of the play on the Four Horsemen. Yeah, this was a fun era of TNA, and then they kind of lost their way when they brought in Bischoff and Hogan and made WWE light.
Yeah, I think Aces and Eights is where I started to tap out with TNA a little bit.
The start of Aces and Eights was good, but it became kind of like the Bloodline. It just went on way too long. There was too many members. It was NWO. I was like, who are all of these people? What are they doing?
Yeah, like Eric Bischoff's son is there. You got Mr. Kennedy. Yeah, it became too much. But I'll tell you what's not too much, what is just enough. Is you, my friend. appreciate you making the time to check out this show. Come on, talk about it. Where can everybody find you, listen to you, read you, watch you, all that stuff?
The easiest place is pariomagazine.com.au. All of my articles, podcasts, and everything's up there. Links to YouTube and all of that. Wrestling cards, everything's on that website.
Hell yeah. Check them out. Appreciate. I like the backdrop, by the way. What is that title on the bottom shelf behind you?
So I've got the WWE spinner, the ROH world title from like the
that's like the
Sinclair
early 2010s.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
IWGP Junior, AEW, and then my Australian wrestling cards custom title.
Nice. I think I had somebody on recently that also had that Ring of Honor title. I think it's my sign to, because I only have this goofy IC title behind me. Maybe I need to get that Sinclair. Maybe the Knockouts title as well. Think they sell that still?
Yep. Yeah, I don't even know if you can get this version legitimately anymore. I think you have to get that one bootlegged.
You have to win a reverse battle royal to get into a tournament and then win the tournament. It's a whole thing.
Or have a King of the Mountain match. That was always an interesting TNA match.
What is the match where you have to climb? It's like a cage with a dome on the top, and you have to climb through the hole.
Oh yeah.
It's not Elevation X. It's like is it Asylum or something?
I think it might have been the Asylum. Yeah, it was like the next level up from like, how can we make Ultimate X even more insane?
Well, whenever I get there, I'll
put
call
a
you.
Domed cage, and you have to climb through the hole in the center, which was funny the first time. Everyone's like, "This is nearly impossible to do."
They need to bring that back. I think NXT should bring that back. Have Obafemi try to climb through that hole.
Don't give them any crazy ideas. They might chuck it on a AAA show.
Once again, thank you to Jamie for joining the program today. It was a lovely, 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 lovely time having the good old bloke, Jamie Apps, on the show. Follow him. Like I said, go check out Pario Magazine. Link is in the description. Follow him on all the social medias. He does a lot of great things out there, so definitely worth checking out. Follow me if you want. Please. I think that's it. I think we've done it. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I love you. Big ol' smooches. All over that tum-tum of yours. I'm hard.
Yeah. And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it.